Hi, this video is going to give you an overview of using BigBlueButton from the point of view of a presenter to teach students online. When you first start up BigBlueButton, you'll see a number of windows. The first window you notice in the upper left-hand corner is the Users window. Your name will be shown in blue, and as other users join the session, you'll see them appear in the Users window. One of the first things you can do with users is chat with them. You can chat with all users by just typing into the All tab. And if you wanted to do a private chat, you can click the plus sign at the top, choose the user's name, click on them, and that'll open a private tab between you and that user. This is not visible to anybody else. Whatever you type in here, they will see, and they'll have a chance to respond back as well. If you're in a private chat tab and something happens in the All tab, you can just click on it, and you can see what the chat is for the group. In almost all cases, you want to talk to students directly. To join the audio bridge, click the headset icon in the upper left-hand corner. This will start sharing your microphone. You may see this dialog box too when you first enter BigBlueButton if it was set to auto-join. Click Allow to allow Flash to access your microphone, and click Remember so you don't have to do it again. You can first test your speakers. You should be wearing a headset, and you should hear the audio in your headset. Click Join Audio, and at this point you're in the audio bridge. As you talk, the microphone icon should highlight to show that your audio is going into the audio bridge. You have the ability to mute and unmute yourself just by clicking the button at the top. If for some reason there's no audio being transmitted, you can adjust your microphone by leaving the audio bridge, joining it, and then click the Test to change microphone. Here you're looking for energy being broadcast from your microphone as a green bar. You can adjust the record volume, and if there's no energy, choose a different microphone until you see the energy being generated. When you've got one that's working, click Close and then join the audio again. As other users join the audio bridge, you'll see a microphone icon appear next to their name. And when they're talking, the icon will highlight as well.
Welcome everyone to a general overview of BigBlueButton. Folks behind BigBlueButton, we're called Blindside Networks. We're the company that began BigBlueButton in 2006. Blindside Networks, started the project in 2007, and we've managed all releases of the product to date. There's been 11. We're currently working on our 12th release, which will come out this fall. We maintain many integrations with BigBlueButton, Canvas being one, Sakai, Moodle, WordPress, and we're also very deeply connected with the Canvas community. We've been working with them since 2012. And as you know, BigBlueButton is Canvas conferences. So with regards to support, we are second level support. So we are accessible through 9 to 5 office hours, Monday to Friday. There's also a support number, the 0264 number, and which probably works the best is the ticketing system. You can just simply email us at support@blindsidernetworks.com, and that particular email will go to 5 people on our team, and someone will get back to you if you have any issues. But we're second level support, so your first line of support would be looking for support inside your college. We have an internal help desk document that is used from within the college. This helps with the support desk. And we also have an external user guide that we just created, and I'll make sure I send Sam a copy of this, which is just a helpful, quick user guide for the viewer. Common things about getting their microphone to work, like I just showed some of those screenshots, and just basic things about. Well, actually, we'll bring it up and I'll show you later on in the presentation.
And actually, just let you know, if you go back, Tara,
yeah.
The links that are in the presentation are actually active. If you create a link in a PowerPoint document or in a PowerPoint slide, that link is actually becoming active in BigBlueButton. So anybody can actually click on that blue URL and access the document right now. We won't go through it in detail, but you can see it. That's the developer the user's guide that we put together. Over to you, Tara.
Thanks, Fred. And you can also do the same thing. You can type in a link inside the chat window, and that also becomes active, and people can click in there. Same thing. Okay, tutorial videos. So we have a couple of tutorial videos, one for the moderator, so anyone that needs to manage the audio, upload slides, share desktop. We have a quick tutorial video for that. It's about 8 minutes long. And there's also a viewer overview video, which is roughly 5 minutes long. So that just gives people a general overview of BigBlueButton, similar to what we're doing now. But we highly recommend anyone that's going to be using BigBlueButton to watch these videos. They can be accessed via this link on the presentation page here, as well as the question mark in the upper right-hand corner of your BigBlueButton session. All the tutorial videos are linked in there as well. And also there's a link as you scroll up in the chat window where the welcome message is. There's also a link to the tutorial videos there as well. So we make them fully available. And in that question mark in the upper right-hand corner in the tutorial video menu item there, you'll also see desktop sharing videos. So if you're going to be sharing your desktop during a presentation as a moderator, we highly recommend you watch the desktop sharing videos. There's a few prompts needed to be clicked on, but sometimes it can be a little confusing as you're going through to get accessibility for the Java to run on your desktop. Straightforward, but it's great to have a little quick overview and to test it prior to your first time sharing your desktop. So I'm going to give you a very basic overview of BigBlueButton. So we created the product to do 3 use cases. So we have a one-to-one. So that would be for on office hours, tutoring. Then number 2, the small group collaboration, which is similar to what we're doing right now. So you can share, we recommend, I think, roughly 9 to 12 webcams are generally safe to share. You can definitely try more, depending on what bandwidth you have. And for the 3rd use case, we recommend 50 users or less. That's kind of a very safe number. We have seen some sessions up as high as 90 some users. But again, our recommendation right now is 50 or less. The interface, exactly what you see right here. You have the webcams. You can actually change this layout. So this particular screenshot is what the layout is that you see now. So you have your chat window on the right-hand side. You have your audio, so you can see everybody who is in the conferencing bridge, their usernames. You can also see underneath the status. You can see that currently by my name, Tara, you have the presentation icons. I'm the presenter. I can upload slides. So right now I have a little upload slide button that I can see underneath this screen, presentation shot out up here. That's its interface. So I have a few little functionality components and all the annotation tools I see as presenter. But I can make someone else presenter by just clicking on their to the left of their name in the status menu bar there, and they will become presenter. So I can assign presenter status to other people, and then they will see the upload button, the slides, and the annotation tools and whatnot. And if anybody throughout, maybe near at the end, if you would like to be given presenter status, I can definitely do that, and you can try it out. And if you see beside Fred's name, there's a little person to the left of his name, and that means he has moderator status as well as myself. So we have the ability to manage audio, to share a desktop, and to make someone else a presenter. And down the right-hand portion of the screen, you're going to see down by where there's a little key lock, very bottom of the chat room to the right, you're going to see a place where you can change the actual layout of the screen. So right now we're in the default layout, but you can change it to a, for example, I'll change it to a meeting layout. The meeting layout, so I'm front and center on the webcam, and you can actually adjust these particular windows. You can adjust the individual size of the windows for the chat window and the webcam window, whatnot. And as a moderator, I have the option where I can actually lock the layout if I choose, which is what that little lock key is beside there. But I'm going to change back to the default. All right, so that's just a basic thing. And also in the chat window, you'll notice that there is an options key beside where it says where the public tab is, and that means you have the option to send a private chat to anybody else as well. So you just click on the options tab, and then you'll see a list of all the people who are actually in the session, and you can send them a private chat. The private chats do not get recorded, just the public chat. All right. Here's an example of 9 webcams being shared. Here's an example of a recording. So you have, this is actually what you will see. This particular piece is the video recording. And then the chat to the right, you can see to the right of Fred's picture, that's Fred there, because Fred's not sharing the webcam right now. And actually, I think I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Tara McDonald. I'm the Manager of Customer Support and Services for Blindside Networks. And Fred, who's actually joining us as well, is the CEO and product manager for BigBlueButton. Sorry, he's the CEO of Blindside Networks. He's the product manager for BigBlueButton, because BigBlueButton is an open source product. So there's Fred, and to the right you'll see chat. And that chat actually gets played back in real time during the recording. And you also have the ability to scrub along the recording near the bottom. So you can move back and forth to a particular part you may want to see. All right, integration with Canvas. I'm going to pass this on to Fred, and he's going to give you a change of voice and explain to you how the interface works with inside Canvas.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Tara. Okay, so I'm just in a hotel here, actually, just in Chicago, so don't mind if there's a little bit of noise in the background, and let me know if you have any troubles with the audio. In Canvas, BigBlueButton surfaces as Canvas conferences. I'm sure most of you have seen it. First thing I'll say is Canvas has really good online documentation as well. So in the Canvas help guides, they have lots of screenshots. They walk you through it. We'll give you an overview here and maybe point out a few things that are worth just highlighting. But in a nutshell, inside of a class, you can click on the Conferences tab. You'll see a button in the upper right-hand corner to do a new conference. And when you do new conferences, it'll present a dialog box where you can set up the parameters for the conference. Okay. A couple of things about the parameters. So you can put in a name for it. The type is BigBlueButton. And there's really two types of meetings that you can do. And it's really determined by zoom in, by this one right here, whether it's a long-running session or not. If you choose a long-running session, then the conference that you create will be visible until you end it. And I'll show you that in a moment. But a long-running session is basically, think of it as a room where the doors open. Anytime someone goes into the room, a session starts up in BigBlueButton, and then the session can end. People leave the room, and the session ends. If the room is set to be recorded, you'll see multiple recordings for a long-running session over time. And if you don't choose a long-running session, then you'll only have one recording for the room. This duration here, which dims if you choose long-running session, by default is 60 minutes. What that means is that once you start a session, users have 60 minutes on which to join.
And we're not getting the background of the slide. We're just getting the circles as they emerge on the white slides.
Okay, so let me try this. Do you see, did your slide change?
All we see is a bullet point with integration with Canvas on it. Now I see the circles and the little brackets that you've drawn.
Okay. So you should see like a screenshot with a couple callouts and the circle that I drew. So here's the thing. If you, it might be a network thing. If you, for whatever reason, don't see what I'm seeing, the easiest thing to do is just refresh the browser. It'll load you back in the session, join again, and it starts fresh. There's lots of small anomalies, or occasionally you might get a small anomaly just with the network, but you should always, the student should always see what the teacher sees. You should never have to ask, can you see what I'm looking at? So I think everybody else sees it. Just try refreshing your browser.
Refreshing works.
Perfect. Okay. This is actually good, by the way, because it shows, things that may occur during a live session. And I think it's also worth saying is that you want to set sessions. If you're doing a class online and everybody's connecting from their computer with their microphone over their internet connection to a central server, most of the time things go pretty smoothly. But I would just have faculty just tell students up front, look, if your microphone stops working or if your computer disconnects or whatever, first thing is don't panic. Just refresh your browser. You'll come back in. If your network is good, you'll come right back in. If for whatever reason you can't get back in, it's almost always the network. in fact, it is always almost a network, then don't freak out. The sessions are, most of the time I expect the sessions to be recorded. But Skype drops calls as well, like it's over the internet. So just set people's expectations that they'll probably drop out at some time, or if there's anything that wonky happens, just refresh the browser. And that assumes that if you got a decent network connection and if maybe the network just went down for a moment. And also, too, we recommend, if possible, connecting to a wired network. Some wireless networks are pretty good. If you're at home, your wireless network is usually pretty good because you're not having many people on it. If you're at school, or I've had people, if they're at school, or we've had people join from like a Starbucks cafe, the wireless may not be entirely consistent. Like I'm joining here from a hotel, and the wireless is decent. I'm actually calling into the conference bridge just to make sure I've got good audio. And for me, let's say as a presenter, if my network connection were to drop for a moment, as long as there's one person in the session still remains active. So that's why you're able to refresh your browser and just come back in. Cool. So one other thing too, if I go back to this, in Canvas conferences, by default, it will invite all members of the course. So if you go into a conference, or if you go into your course, create a conference, it will send an invite message to everybody to say there's now a conference available to join. You may not want that, and if you don't, just uncheck invite all course members. And the easiest thing to do is, I'm sure you probably have if you have some test courses or courses that you can go into and test it, you can't break anything. You can go create a bunch of conferences, try them all out. Maybe, if you want to do it with two folks, just, send the invites to back and forth. The easiest way to do it is to just try it out and do it. Okay, so let me talk about just what Canvas shows. I can actually jump ahead. Okay. So if you have, let's see, sorry, I think I just, okay. If you have a conference that's going on, a long-running conference, what happens is you'll see it appear in Canvas. It will show in progress. It will always show in progress. That simply means that the door is unlocked. The room any student can go into that, or any member of the course can go into that room at any time and go into a BigBlueButton conference. So it actually shows in progress, even though there may not be any active session running. It just means that the door is open. If you click End, and the door remains open until you end it, then you'll get a prompt that says, do you want to end this conference? You'll not be able to reopen it, which is basically saying you're closing the door. Students can't enter it anymore, but anyone that's currently there, the conference would still continue. It'll continue till it's done. So if we had all joined in through Canvas in a long-running conference, and now we're in BigBlueButton, and let's say Sam went back and ended it, we're all going to stay here, but nobody else would be able to join us. Okay, and this is just another screenshot of it. So when you create a long-running conference, it's there, and people can go in it once you press Start. That's to start it, and then Canvas changes the state to where it's now able to join it. So people will see a Join button, and you can end it, and then it will just close the door, and people can't go into it anymore. Okay. When the recordings. Once you've got a session, if you set it to be recorded, and you have to set it before you start the session, you want to set it to be recorded. If you have a session that you didn't record and you're halfway through it, you can't actually go back and set it to be recorded because the BigBlueButton server didn't start recording it from the beginning. So most of the times if you have a recorded session, you're just going to have it recorded, and you check it when you're, I go back. You do it here when you're creating the session. You say, I want to record this conference. In the version that we have coming out this fall, there'll actually be a record button in addition to this. There'll be a record button in the interface. So in the upper left-hand corner, you'll actually see the words recording, and there'll be a button there to show you that the moderator is now recording the session. The moderator will actually have the ability in a recorded session to start and stop the recording throughout. Whereas in this case here, we're recorded everything, right from the first person who joined. The benefit of that is if a faculty member wants to record their session, this will be for the fall, then they will be able to set it to be recorded here. When they go into the Big Blue Button session, they'll have the record button in the upper left-hand corner, and the recording will start once they click that button. And that way they can do some stuff at the beginning of the class, and then when they say, okay, the class is ready, and then start recording, everybody will see it starts recording, and then they're actually recording from that point on. Once your session is done, which means everybody's left the session, the recording will stop. And in fact, in the fall, the recording will stop when they click the stop record button. So I'm kind of showing a bit of both here. Today, all this is going to be recorded, and the recording will end once everybody leaves. But for the fall term, the faculty members or the teachers will have a start-stop recording button in the upper left-hand corner, and they control when the recording starts and when the recording stops. So if it's a 2-hour class and they start at 7 o'clock, they can start the recording at 7, and they can stop the recording, say, at 8:45 when their lecture ends. And then anything else after that, like any chit-chat or whatever, isn't recorded. Once the recording's done, it takes a little bit of time on the Big Blue Button server process. Usually it's the length of the time that the recording, the class. So if it's a 2-hour class, it'll take about 2 hours to process the recording. And it may take a little bit longer if there's other recordings queued up. But shortly after, you'll see it appear inside of Canvas. And what you'll see is for those sessions that are recorded, there'll be a little triangle here. And then when you expand it, it'll show you a list of all the recordings underneath. So if it was a long-running session, you might see 2 or 3 recordings. If it wasn't a long-running session, there'll probably just be 1 recording. And then students can click the button to view it. Okay. Yeah, so the recording is actually a video file. So I'll give you an example of what a recording looks like. So it's an MP4, yeah? So that link, if you click on that link, it will open in a new tab of recording. And this is a video file, just like Tara had showed earlier. See if I go to the... It'll play back in your browser. If it'll play back in Firefox or Chrome. The one caveat is if when you're on a Mac with Firefox, you'll get a prompt to say that you just have to switch over to a different browser to play it. It's because it's an H.264 file, and Firefox doesn't yet support playback on H.264 on the Mac. It does on the PC, but not on the Mac. They're doing some stuff to change this, I believe, so in a future version of Firefox it will play back, but you'll get a message in the browser letting you know if you need to switch. But if anybody is clicking that link and is playing it back, you can jump ahead to about 2 minutes and 30 seconds into the video, and you can see it's a single video file with the webcams. What you see here in Big Blue Button is actually just a screenshot of it. Okay, so at this point, I was going to jump into just resolution of some common issues, but before I do, I just want to ask if there's any questions. So Nathan, the video is not editable, not within Canvas conferences or Big Blue Button. You can right-click on the video and download it, and you could bring it into Windows Movie Maker or Adobe Premiere Elements, and you could edit it there. It's just an MP4 file. Some people would upload their video to YouTube or Vimeo if you have a video content management system, and usually those have some ability to trim the videos as well. But right now we just faithfully record everything that happens inside of the session. Okay. So let's talk about some of the common issues, and we're going to focus mostly on the audio because that's the part that gets most people. We find that once you do have students have done a session or two with Big Blue Button and they understand how to mute themselves. And let me say, by the way, those tutorial videos just cover all of the stuff in terms of getting in, adjusting your microphone, muting and unmute yourself. So as part of using a synchronous learning tool, And if you've used others in the past, you probably did something. You might have done something similar to what I'm going to suggest. If your students are going to be expected to do a class online, you're going to want them to watch the tutorial video ahead of time, have a headset, and ideally, if you can have like an open session where any student can come in during the period of time and just check their microphone, it will mean that when the first class happens, it's much easier because a lot of people have already had a chance to test their equipment and make sure that it works. You want to avoid the scenario where the first class starts at 7 o'clock and everyone shows up, a few minutes early, and then the professor is trying to kind of resolve or troubleshoot any issues. Have a training session. Let students know they need a headset. Have them make sure they watch the video. Not everyone's going to do it. What you might want to do for the first session, ideally would be is start it like 45 minutes early or half an hour earlier. So tell everybody they're going to show up half an hour before the class actually starts, and in that time people can try out their microphones, go through some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about here. And again, if someone can't get their microphone to work, don't freak out. You can always pick up the phone and call in, and then maybe they can reach out to the support group and just have a at the school and just have a chance to try out the microphone. Again, if they're using Skype and they have a headset, it's going to probably work with BigBlueButton. But let me go through some of the things that make people we see get people caught. The first one is in Chrome. So Chrome, when you click the headset icon, or when you come in and click the headset icon, Flash will ask for permission, but Chrome also asks for permissions. And the color scheme they use is actually pretty close to what BigBlueButton or what the browser is. So it doesn't pop out at you. Chrome is going to change this for the next release. Google's changing this for the next release of Chrome. We should be out in the late September or early October. It'll be a big bubble that pops up right underneath the address bar, so students can't miss it, and it'll be really visible. But until then, this is probably the thing that we see the most. Students will go in, they just never saw it or they didn't click it. And if you join the audio without clicking this, and then later on you click allow, you've already gone into the audio without a functioning microphone. So if the order is, if it's done in the reverse order where they join the audio and then later on they click allow, at that point they probably realized they needed to have clicked allow first. Just refresh the browser, click allow up front, then join the audio, and you should have a functioning microphone. What we're also doing in the next release of BigBlueButton for the fall is we'll actually have like a little dialog box that's going to come up. It'll be something like down here, and it will have like a message that says, click headset icon with a little arrow that kind of points up here. So we're actually going to put a call out in it to make sure that students have a chance to say, hey, there's something up here, click on it. Okay. The next thing is if they get in, when they go into the BigBlueButton session, they have this audio test dialog or audio settings dialog. A lot of times people will just click join, and let's say 15 out of 20 it works. But if you join and there's no microphone that's active, first thing to do would be to check if the currently default microphone is actually an active microphone. When you join the audio session in Flash, it's just choosing the default microphone. If you don't make any changes, it chooses the default microphone. And most times that is a functioning microphone. If it's not, you can go here and you can cycle through the list of microphones and look for one that's generating audio or energy. And that's showing a green bar, as you can say, test, test, that goes up and down. This is covered in the video as well. So the student video and the teacher moderator video shows if you have troubles with your microphone, leave the audio bridge, come back in, click the test change microphone button, and try adjusting your microphone here. So that's the second thing that gets tripped up. The microphone that's chosen is not, the default microphone is not the actual active microphone. The third thing, at that point, if someone has troubles, we usually just say, okay, let's just see if your operating system finds a functioning microphone. So here, I just did this. I right-click on my Windows machine. I right-click on the taskbar, on the microphone icon, or sorry, the speaker iPhone icon. I choose recording devices. It brings up the sound control panel and just by default goes to recording. And here I can see, as I do a little bit of talking, there's some energy. Okay, so at this point I know that the microphone called external mic is the functioning microphone. Yeah. Sometimes a student will come in here and there's no energy whatsoever, which means the operating system isn't detecting any functioning microphone, which means BigBlueButton has nothing to work with. I mean, at that point, it might be that they plugged the microphone jacks in correctly. It might be that some of the newer laptops have plugs that just have one jack for the microphone, like the iPhone, like an iPhone jack. It's a single jack, but they're using an old computer that has two plugs on it. So sometimes if a student isn't really familiar with computers and they're not very comfortable with it, and they've got a laptop and their microphone isn't working, sometimes we'll tell them, this is when we've jumped in to help out. Look, the best thing to do is go to like Staples or Best Buy, buy a headset, because you want to have a headset, and just have someone at the store set it up for you and make sure it's working. Okay, I'll pause at this point if anyone has any questions. Okay, so the last bit here is just you can sometimes, if the microphone is working but it's really faint, it might be at the operating system level, the energy level is so low that even if you increase it a little bit inside of BigBlueButton, it doesn't affect it. So his is on Windows, it's similar on the Mac. You get up the control panel, and here for the microphone, there's an option for levels, and you can then just adjust the levels. So if you see it low, just adjust it to the right. So again, this is going back to any faculty members that are going to be teaching using BigBlueButton. Recommend that you have an open session for them, that they can come in, and let's say in an hour time, anyone of them can come in, check the microphone, and you can just listen to see if the microphone sounds good. It's really important, obviously, that the teacher has a good functioning microphone, so they have a headset, and that their audio is coming through clearly. If that is the case, then the students, you can deal with the issues of students. Maybe they just dial in, or maybe they're listening only. Most times the students don't need to talk, and they can chat as we're doing now. But it's really important that the teacher has a chance to have tested the microphone ahead of time. Yeah, and as Tara had said, if you do schedule an open session, let us know. It's likely Tara or I could join it for that hour, and we can help out as well. And in our experience, is if the teachers have a chance to test things out ahead of time, and they're comfortable with managing the audio, then the class goes well. Just like you manage a physical classroom, you kind of need to manage the online classroom as well. And for the management of the online classroom, the teacher, which comes as a moderator, has the ability to mute and unmute any student. So if, let's say, Bill or Nathan or Sam, let's say you were unmuted and I could hear lots of background noise, or maybe there was echo because you didn't have a headset, because I'm the moderator, I can mute. So any teacher comes in the session, they're going to be able to mute a student just by clicking on it. This is important too, that if someone is causing background noise and for whatever reason doesn't mute themselves, the teacher can just click on their microphone icon and mute them. Again, it's controlling the audio. The last bit is, in terms of the audio, if you have a class, most of the classes are probably one-to-many. Sometimes if it's discussion, you just let people mute and unmute themselves. But a lot of times when you have a class, what you'll want to do is once you've kind of gone through the preliminary stuff and the class is about to start, there's an option here. There's a gear icon, like a settings icon in the user's window. You can choose to mute all users except presenter, and usually the presenter is yourself. That mutes everybody, and it mutes people who come in new, so that if someone joins and leaves the session or comes in, they're not disturbing other people because they'll come in muted by default. Okay, any questions about the audio? Nathan, yes, a student can mute and unmute themselves. Yes, they can. The last bit is probably the desktop sharing, which if I do the desktop sharing on my end, let me ask, is there anybody here who is going to be teaching a class and wants to do desktop sharing? Okay, so Sarah, I'm going to do it here, and then we're going to do a quick test with yourself. At this point, my recommendation is for those people in support, the links that are in the document for support give you very detailed overviews of the support. This is like an internal help desk document. There's very detailed information there in terms of support and problem resolution. I'm just sharing the desktop on my side so you can see what happens. So I see this icon in the upper left-hand corner, and once I click it, it'll come up with a prompt for me to run an applet. And let's see if it's going to go here. And we have two videos that show how to do it. So I think I clicked my mouse button a little quickly here on mine. So all I'll do is refresh my browser. I'm going to come back in. I'm going to try desktop sharing one more time. And then Sarah, for yourself, the key thing is, do you have Java installed on your computer? Do you have like the Java runtime? Can you run a Java app?
Right now I'm in the classroom computer, and it did ask me to update my Java, but I didn't do it.
Okay. So here's what you'll see. So I just started sharing it. Reaching my desktop, a new window appears. If I move around, you should be able to see my desktop. I can do a Word document. Okay, so I'm just going to switch back. I'm going to close my desktop sharing. I have a close button here. Have you done desktop sharing before on BigBlueButton?
On Adobe Connect, but not BigBlueButton.
Okay, so we just made you presenter. So click the link, click the blue desktop sharing icon in the upper left-hand corner, and you'll see a dialog box appear in the lower left. And by the way, this is all covered in these videos. These two videos that I'm linking to are me recording like a walkthrough of it. The one for Firefox, it says Mac OS, but it works the same on Windows. So there's in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see the desktop sharing preview, and there's a button at the bottom for Test Java. If you click on that, it'll open up a new tab and it will test your Java. Let's see what happens when you do it.
I did get a verify Java and find out-of-date versions. Should I just go ahead and do that?
And what version did it say that you had?
Activate Java SE6U.
Yeah?
So I'm sure you don't want me to update my Java at this point. So.
Well, what version of Java do you have? Like, we can try it right now. Like, it'll prompt you to update because it's probably detected an out-of-date version. But if you go back into BigBlueButton.
Well, since it's talking about SE6, update 31, I think that is out.
So you would not be able to run. That's a kind of an older version of Java. We actually have a check in BigBlueButton to make sure you have at least update 51.
Right.
So if you, my recommendation is go ahead and update the Java. You won't have to do it all here, and go back and watch.
Right. I'm not on my own. I'm not on my own computer. I'm just in a classroom, very temporary situation. So
right.
I'll take care of it from here on my own. Thanks.
All right, no worries. And I'm just actually my person I was here at the conference with. I'm just getting text that I'm going to be. I have 10 minutes to check out from my room, so I'm going to turn it over to Tara, and I'm sure she'll echo the same comment. If you have any problems, we provide second-level technical support. Our goal is to make sure you're comfortable at NSC supporting, and that the faculty is comfortable using it. And to that end, this is why we do the training sessions. And if you do it, you should do an open training session for any of the faculty members. Invite us to it. We'll help out there as well. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
That's great. Thanks so much, Fred.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. Take care. All right. Does anyone have any questions? We can kind of call this the Q&A session. We've already been doing a little bit of that, but is there any questions with what was covered? I'd be happy to answer those for you. Fred's pretty thorough. He knows his stuff. He's the product manager at BigBlueButton, so he's seen this through 11 releases. I've been helping out with the customer support and the product support, so again, we would be happy to help you out in any fashion. I will send a copy of this recording to Sam by on Monday, because it'll take a little time for the recording to generate, so I'll send a copy to him on Monday. And I'll also send a link to the viewer guide that I had mentioned, which is great. To actually, that could be another thing you could put in your syllabus for students to look at when they're going in and trying the tutorial and trying out BigBlueButton during their open session. So thank you everybody for joining, and please reach out at any time if you have questions. We are here to help you guys out and help you get online. Take care, everybody.
I did have one question real quick.
Sure, not a problem.
How long is the video stored on your servers? How long will it be hosted on the Blindside Networks link?
Yep, permanently.
Okay.
So it is there, and the only way it would be removed is if the instructor chooses to delete it. But if you choose to have it make a recording, it is there permanently until it's removed either by you or, yeah. So it's totally accessible.
Okay, great, thanks. So you can make a video one semester and share it with even a future semester's class if need be.
Definitely. You can manage your recordings and keep them, delete them, reuse them the next session, modify them, edit them, download them, and do an edit on them, whatnot. But like Fred mentioned, in the fall there will be a recording button as well. So currently, right now, when a session is recorded is when the first person enters the room, and the recording ends when the last person leaves. Which you do have the ability to scrub through the video, but again, with being able to start and stop the recording yourself as the moderator, you can basically trim it to what you want to record and what you don't want to record. So if you come into the session, 15 minutes prior to class, you generally probably won't hit the record button until class starts. So that will help you trim it that way a little bit easier, as opposed to having to do like an editing tool. But for now, it's definitely, it'll be fully recorded and permanently archived for you.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Nathan. So they will copy. I'm not exactly sure how that works on the interface in Canvas, Sam. So it says, will they copy the course to another site, or can we download and edit it and then publish to another course? So it's just a URL. So you can put the link on Canvas course page. The actual recordings will be recorded within that particular course. We do recommend, for example, let's say you have a course on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, and let's say you have the same course the next semester, Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. You can just create one meeting, Tuesday night, 7 o'clock, and just use that room week after week. You don't have to, because you can actually schedule as many sessions you want with inside Canvas, but they only become active once you enter them. And if you have a recurring class happening each time, just leave it there. You can continue to use the same one. Yeah, exactly. Virtual office hours. You could just have an open session called, or a session scheduled called open office hours, and that can just be used at the times that you dictate. And the video, the recordings are downloadable as video files. So once you download it, you can send it as a link, and it's fully. It's just a matter of clicking on it, but just a URL. Exactly. You can just use exactly, Tony. Put it in a content page in Canvas. Any other questions? I'll hang out for another minute or two, and if anybody has a question that comes up, feel free to ask. Send it along to Sam or email our customer support. I hope you guys are feeling more comfortable to get online and teach, and to do office hours and whatnot, one-on-one coaching. It's definitely convenient.
Yeah. Oh, it's been very convenient for me. I've been using it to quickly conference with folks within my team and with individual faculty members. Today I experienced some interesting events, but they seem easily correctable. And it could be that I don't have the newest Java on this machine. They just updated it earlier this week, so I still have Java 45, and I think it's Java 67 now. we're going to have to play a little bit about the Canvas integration. I think the events are actually attached to the class. And
Yes,
if
the actual
we
meetings,
copy
yeah.
from one class to another, we should be okay. But if we actually want to just take specific sessions or recordings themselves, in other words, not just the rooms that we create, but if we want to take the recordings that individually, I think we need to actually download those as MP4 files and then republish them in another site. I think if we copy from one course to another, the links to the recordings should also remain there as well as the rooms that we've created. But we'll have to do a little experimenting with that.
Yeah, do that, Sam. I haven't gone in and actually used Canvas to the depth that you guys do to want to use it. So yeah, and Canvas has phenomenal support as well. So if there's any questions with regards to the Canvas interface, I mean, we can definitely help you with all the Big Blue Button side and the basic interface with Canvas Commons. But if there's something more detailed about how the videos will move or how you can copy over the different courses and whatnot, I would recommend talking to your Canvas rep or their help desk, because they would know that stuff very much in depth.
All right. We have some sites that I've personally been playing with, so I'm not too worried about it, because I think if someone does create a course or a master course or what we call a development site, whatever they set up there ought to copy over, but we'll check. My only concern is that if they actually want that recording as sort of a learning object that they want to use, for instance, over and over again, they probably ought to download it, do some editing. I would do some editing, put some title slides in it, and then republish that to the courses as they need on the pages that they want it to be. Now, if they just want to copy that content from one course to another, and they're just going to tell students to go to the conference page, that's okay too. That's not the way I would do it. I would actually select those recordings that I want to use as learning objects and archive them as an object and edit them appropriately, and then publish them into the pages of the course that I wanted to use them. Everybody has a different way of doing it.
Exactly. I think as you guys, as instructors and whatnot get more comfortable with Canvas, they're going to realize the depth of the functionality that's there, like what they can do. And I think, and once they get more comfortable with teaching online, yeah, that's the way of the future. So this is where it's going, and you can just tap into so many different possibilities with Canvas. I've seen what Canvas can do, like the potential of it. I'm like, wow, like LMSs have come a long way. Yeah.
So,
all right.
Actually, I'm not sure my problems today had anything really to do with BigBlueButton. I think they had to do with me just refreshing. I think I made the mistake of coming into the room early, making sure everything was working, and then closing out of it. And then the next time I came in, it wasn't recognizing some things. But like Fred said, all I did is refresh the page. Now, the one weird thing that I think I should report is every time I refreshed an Internet Explorer 11 window, it brought me back into the session. I was participating, but I don't think anybody saw me there, like you said.
No.
But everything was working. So
that is interesting.
The next thing I did was, of course, log out, come back in, and then everything was working and people could see me.
Yeah.
So it was weird because when I do refresh the page with Internet Explorer 11, and of course I realize that is a really kind of a weird tool right now, because it does some strange things. It won't let you activate some drop-down menus depending on how they were written, and in this case it looks like it's not actually doing a full refresh. And of course I did jump over to Firefox to see if this was happening there. But the second critical step with Internet Explorer 11 appears: refresh the page, then log out, come back in, and you'll be good. Because my webcam is working, My mic was working. I think I hadn't had problems with I have the head buds from my Mac. I wasn't having problems with this previously, but I did notice today that when I would plug it in, it somehow killed the mic pickup. So I don't know what has changed.
I'm using Mac too. These are my Mac headphones. I'm on a Mac. But what happens if you change out your headset when you're actually in the process of using the BigBlueButton? The flash picks up your active microphone. So you actually, if you can't unplug and plug in your headset during a session or try to switch them. You have to fully come out, put the headset in that you want to use, then bring up BigBlueButton. Flash will access your active microphone that's active at system level. So yeah, you can't do changes while you're doing it.
In the session. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, because all Flash will do is pick up the active microphone.
Okay. I'm just going to make a note of that. Anyhow, no, this is great. And can you send us the link to the recording? Or
certainly. No, I will send it to you, Sam. Once we exit out, the recording will stop, and then it will be generated. And then once it may even be done in a day. I'll send it to you, or it should only take a couple hours. But I'll keep an eye on it. If I don't get it to you today, I'll get it to you Monday morning.
Perfect.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Take care, Sam. Thanks very much.
Yes.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.